What's up guys, it's your favorite Kiwi coach and give me 6 months of your time and I'll give you the best golf swing of your life. So welcome back to the channel. In this particular video, we're going to be reacting to another Be Better Golf video. This is from an ex-PGA Tour player who has found the secret to better ball striking. It has to do with handle first, or in America we call it shaft lean. So if you're interested in getting more handle first or shaft lean, this is the perfect video for you, and let's go ahead and jump in. But before we get into the video, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, and that's Kiwi Golf Japan. If you did not know, YouTube does not pay the bills. So if you want to help support this YouTube channel after the video is over, there will be a link down below. Make sure to click on that link. It'll take you to the Kiwi Platinum membership site. Go ahead and sign up, and you're going to really help support this YouTube channel. Not only that, you're going to get access to 330 videos, and we post 20 videos every single month to that membership site. It's a great deal. Go ahead and sign up, and let's get into this ball striking secret that has to do with handle first. All right, before we get into the video, let me give you a little bit of context, because you guys are probably seeing two guys that looks like they're on their back patio hitting out into an open field. They're not even at a golf course. What type of video are you watching, Kiwi Coach? What are we getting into? So first off, let's explain who these people are and give you guys a little bit of credibility here. So this is going to be John Erickson. He's an ex-PGA Tour player. He played on the Canadian Tour as well as the Australian Tour, maybe some other tours as well, but very successful player in his own right. This is going to be Brendan over here. So he's the founder of Be Better Golf, and we've done a lot of videos reacting to his channel, so you should know the spiel by now. He goes around to a bunch of different instructors in America, takes lessons from them, and then highlights it on YouTube, and just highlights a lot of unique ideas in the golf instruction space. And it's really made for his audience who are typically going to be the golf nerds, just like our audience. So this is why I like reacting to his channel, because I think you guys will really like these videos. Now, in terms of where we are, at what point are we at the video, I think there was another part one in a different video where John's really just talking about his background of where he started with his golf swing ideas, and then kind of where he got to, and then from there, kind of the journey that he had to take to get there. So John, when he started out, he was more so under the golf machinist, kind of that float and load, to where, it's not necessarily a hitting action is what he calls it, or it's more so of a swinging action, right? It's very smooth swing, focused on tempo and releasing the club at the right time. And John felt like, yes, he could play great golf with that swing, but when he went over to the Australian Tour and started to watch players like Greg Norman and some of those guys on the Australian Tour who were playing really well, they had a completely different swing than the swing that he had, and he felt like their swing was much more powerful, and it was one of the major reasons on why they were able to play better golf, because they could hit it further and they can get to more pins than he could with his particular swing because he's hitting it so much shorter. So that then led John down a road to figure out how the hell they're doing what they're doing, and that's kind of the point that we are at this video. So John right now is going to be talking about when he started to learn, I don't think he actually went and took lessons from Mac O'Grady, but he started to learn from Mac O'Grady. He was able to learn through another player that introduced some type of video file, I don't know what, but some type of teaching from Mac O'Grady, so he's learning from that. And then John's kind of breaking down Mac O'Grady's theory right now. And then from there, once he breaks down that theory, he's going to talk about some of the points that he didn't like about it, and then he's going to start to transition into more so what he likes to teach, right? So that's where we're at this particular point in the video. Now that you have the context, let's go hop in and hear what he has to say about Mac O'Grady's theory.
And stuff. Sure. But anyway, so we're looking through it and diagrams and stuff like this. But basically, what I got out of it is that what Mac was teaching is that the rotation is going to be very level, narrow stance. It's kind of like the figure skater spinning in, tight, right, going around. The shoulders, the right shoulder is going to just go right through where the left shoulder was, like this. Okay. And the way that the club is going to stay on plane is that the right elbow is going to straighten out on the downswing like this, so I can turn my shoulders really level like this, and keep the club.
So now the question is, why is he talking about Mac O'Grady's theory? So the reason why I think he's talking about it, and I could be wrong, but I'm quite sure this is the case, John, through watching some video of Mac O'Grady's swing, saw that Mac O'Grady had a lot of the great positions that a lot of the better ball strikers that he was watching on the Australian Tour also had. So I think that's why he was interested in what Mac O'Grady was teaching, and he wanted to learn it so he can get similar positions to Mac O'Grady and those other Australian Tour players, and get into the process of getting more into that hitter's golf swing as opposed to the swinger golf swing. And this is why he's bringing up Mac O'Grady. But what he's about to get to in this other point was, once he started to watch some of the clients of Mac O'Grady's, like watching their swings, they were not necessarily getting into the same positions as Mac O'Grady. The sound of the golf ball off the face did not sound the same, right? So they didn't have the same ball speed as Mac O'Grady. So this was kind of what led him to try to be like, okay, what the hell is going on? Why is it that Mac O'Grady can do this, but his players can't? Is there something wrong with his theory? That's what he's about to bring up now. So let's go skip ahead to that part.
He moves around and moves into finish. Okay, what I would see with Mac is that Mac himself on his videos looks like he's just picking up speed through the strike. He's holding shaft flex right here. I've got videos where
all right, let's stop it here and maybe let's explain what shaft flex is, because it's really important to this particular point of the video. So for John's definition of shaft flex, it's really this little curvature in the shaft right now that he's demonstrating, right? So he's applying pressure into the ground kind of this way with the hands, and then since the club head is kind of stuck into the mat right there, you're seeing the shaft kind of flex. Now that's not how actually you create shaft flex, right? He's kind of doing this artificially. You do it a slightly different way in the golf swing, right? Because the club is not on the ground at this point in the golf swing. But you can see the shaft flexing here. This is kind of shaft flex, and kind of the overall concept is you don't want to have this shaft unflexed or straight around this point in the golf swing or right around impact, because you're not going to get the optimal ball speed, you're not going to get the optimal kind of transfer of energy to the golf ball. So this is kind of the whole concept that he was trying to figure out, right? It was a big part of his hitter's golf swing theory. So what he's talking about here is, Mac O'Grady could do this, but, why couldn't his clients do this? Well, what's wrong with the swing? What is Mac O'Grady doing different?
his shaft is flexed back like this, okay? He's coming in, it's got a sound on the golf ball, okay? And his students, other tour players, I think Dan Forsman, Mark Fowler were working with him, and they're setting up, the knees are bent, the hands are low, you set the wrist, you cock, you straighten the right arm out, and you go around. Well, but they don't have that sound.
Right.
It looks like
all the stuff, but they didn't have the post-impact acceleration.
Yeah,
is that what?
Right. And the thing is that I'm not here to be critical of Mac O'Grady, but what I'm saying is that in the stuff that I saw teaching, I never saw him really teaching guys to accelerate. Now I do know that Mac's.
Okay, so now at this point in the video, we've kind of gone over the point. Yeah, the players that were working for Mac O'Grady were not kind of getting the same ball speed numbers, right? Which they didn't have ball speed readers back then, but that's what he's basically talking about. Whenever you hear, that's more so the ball speed, right? Good AOA, good dynamic loft, good strike point, you're going to get good ball speed. So we didn't see the players doing that. So now what he's going to be talking about is, from through the grapevine, right, from other people that he heard, he was trying to figure out, okay, well, what is Mac O'Grady doing himself that he's not teaching to these players? Because obviously Mac O'Grady can do what I want to do, but his players can't, right? So there's something missing here. So this is what he's about to talk about right now.
It's one of those fan clubs. It's got the fan blades, okay?
Like in the 90s, that was really big.
Well, he was doing that in the 80s.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And those things were around in the 70s.
Oh, okay.
They were an old thing.
That's something that's just, the golf industry always likes to have this reiteration cycle. So something that you see now that might be popular, that everyone's like, oh, this is new, never been done before, typically has been done in the past. Just something to, constantly remember.
So Mac's got this, this fan club, we got the fan blades, and you're just working that thing.
So he's starting from kind of like a knee high or so.
Okay, let's stop it there. So first off, the fan blade, it creates resistance when swung, right? Because the air is going to be resisting that movement. So what he's practicing here is he's starting off maybe right around P6 or kind of hip high is what Brendan says. And then from there, he's trying to accelerate post-impact, right? Through impact. So the fastest part is going to be somewhere right around here. So if you practice that with that resistance, what that's teaching you is to accelerate post-impact, which in John's opinion is going to make it easier to hold that shaft flex that we were talking about a little bit longer and then have that shaft flex release at the right time if you can get a similar motion to what Mac O'Grady was teaching, right? So that's why this part of the video is so important. So let's continue here.
Just before, just working these muscles.
All the way from the top.
No, he's just working these muscles over here, right? Just working that.
Yeah.
So, of course, I get one of those fan clubs to,
Yeah.
and I start doing that.
You saw him doing that on the range or whatever?
No, I'd heard from a confidant that's what.
That's just so interesting. I guess back in the day, obviously I'm not that age, so I would not know, but just back in that day, how information was so secretive back then because everyone wanted that competitive edge, where nowadays with YouTube and social media, information is basically just out there, right? It's everywhere. So very interesting to kind of hear how it worked back in those days, but you guys don't care about that. Let's just continue.
Mac was working on. When I started studying the films, I saw that these great players were holding shaft flex.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's stop it here. So we've already defined shaft flex. So you guys kind of understand kind of this little motion right here. You kind of have an idea of when you should have the shaft flex and then when the shaft flex should start to release. You guys kind of get those basic checkpoints. But I want to talk about it when you're videoing your golf swing, some of the checkpoints that you could be looking for, a little bit more simple way, because sometimes it's obviously hard to measure shaft flex in a 2D world. So maybe what we can use is a different type of angle that we can draw, a different type of measurement. I'll go through some basic checkpoints here to really help you guys out to see if you're kind of doing what he's trying to tell you to do or not. So I think one of the first positions you should check for is going to be when the middle of the hands is situated right around the middle of the right thigh or trail thigh, or more so towards the front of that right thigh, or this side right here. So what we want to see for most players is the shaft quite close to parallel to the ground at that point, right? So if your shaft is not parallel to the ground, let's say it's almost at a 45-degree angle relative to the ground, that means you're definitely not holding that shaft flex, right? So you are early releasing at that particular point. So you want to see when the middle of the hands are situated right around that middle of the trail thigh or kind of on this side of the thigh, you want to make sure that the shaft is close to parallel, right? Or maybe within like 5 to 10 degrees, something on those lines. Then from there, the next checkpoint I typically look for in lessons is when the middle of the hands is situated right in the middle of the belt buckle. So this particular player right here, which by the way is Greg Norman, but the middle of the hands right here is just ahead of the belt buckle. So a little bit ahead of the checkpoint I typically look for, but we want the middle of the hands to be aligned to the middle of the belt buckle. And then we want to see a certain angle with the shaft, right? And this angle is going to change from club to club because with an iron, let's say, when the hands are situated right around the middle of the belt buckle, you want to be kind of around the 120 to 113 range with the angle there. However, a driver, if you're at that same angle, you're almost going to be handle dragging is what we like to call it, or basically taking off too much loft, and you're actually going to hit the ball shorter because you don't have enough loft presented at impact for the speed that you're swinging at. You're going to hit the ball too low, it's going to kind of nosedive out of the air, right? So these angles will change for different clubs, which is something they don't necessarily talk about, but something that should be brought into effect, right? Because at the end of the day, ball flight laws dictates what the ball is going to do. So you need to have the correct AOA and dynamic loft relative to the speed you have, right? So not every player should attempt to be looking like a Greg Norman or to be looking like a Dustin Johnson because you just don't have the club head speed to support it, right? So that's an important point to put in there. And that's why I like to kind of go over these checkpoints. And then from here, typically with irons, when the middle of the hands is situated right around the middle of the lead thigh, you typically want to see the shaft in line with the forearm. And that's where you want to be with irons. With driver, you actually want that pretty much at this position, actually, when the middle of the hands is just ahead of the belt buckle. That's typically when you want to see the shaft going to be lined up to the forearm. Now, Greg Norman here, it's hard to tell what club he's hitting. He might be hitting a wood or he might not. But obviously, the faster swinging player you are, you can have a little bit more shaft lean, right? Take off a little bit more loft. And Greg Norman is quite fast in his days. But those are just the basic checkpoints. Now that we got that section of the video out of the way, let's continue with the video and what they're talking about.
I mean, you could see, there's pictures of Hogan where things like this right before impact. Mac doing like this. The Golf Digest did an article in the 70s, 80s.
All right, that's it for you guys on YouTube. But before you guys click off, let me give you some quick wrap-up points. So first and foremost, I thought this video was quite interesting because this player, went all the way from kind of a golf machinist swing method all the way to kind of a completely opposite swing method and was able to actually implement it into his own golf swing and was able to figure it out before kind of YouTube. So I feel like he has some very interesting ideas on how to actually go about doing this. And I think in terms of Japan, this should be quite useful because a lot of you guys out there are learning from teachers who are teaching more so of a golf machinist method, which I personally don't think is going to be one of the more powerful and effective golf swings out there. I think that what he's teaching right here is much similar to what we teach, and I think it's a much more useful and effective golf swing, especially in these modern days. So make sure if you guys want to watch this whole video, because there's a lot more detail on this video that we did not cover on YouTube, make sure to sign up for the Kiwi Platinum membership site. If you guys sign up today, you guys are going to get access to 330 videos. As well, we post around 20 new videos every single month, so plenty of content is always on the site, and it really helps support this YouTube channel. Other than that, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next video.